Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
Seriously, if you have not watched the documentary, you've got to go freaking watch it.
I've seen the guy's face before. He's definitely recognizable, but I did not know he had a documentary. So
it's a documentary.
Go check that out.
And he pretty much takes over an entire city and renames it. They take control of the local municipal government. They get elected, like they rename streets. Like it is absolutely freaking wild. And
that's insane.
Yeah, he's mainstream now. But I thought I'd share that with you. So happy Father's Day, Len, belated. I know you probably had a good time.
Same to you. 7 times over, and I only have 2. So, man, you're a father like 3x over me numerically. So, but I got a chance to spend some time with my father, man, and it makes me think about you who lost your father at 12. And sometimes those of us that have fathers, we take them for granted. And as I get older and get wiser, every time that I get a chance to spend with my father, he's 80 now, so I definitely am grateful for that.
Yeah, I was showing Mary the video that you sent me with your mom and her mom, your grandma in the room, and they're all hugging each other. And she's like, wait a minute, I have questions. I got to ask Len. I don't understand the skin color here.
I get that all the time.
I said, that's Len's grandmother and that's his mom. And she went, who? And I went, Len Cooper. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, how? I have to ask. I have questions. And I'm like, I don't know how it works. I'm just telling you that that's the deal. That's the deal. Yeah. And when you see your mom's
that's
face,
my biological grandmother and my biological mom. And Black people, we produce all shades, man. And what's interesting is that all of my father's siblings are all dark skinned. He's the only light skinned one. And so I got the dark skinned genes from him and passed on the light skinned genes to my kids.
It's just wild the way that works. It's just wild the way the biology of everything works. And I mean, go figure. You have people that try to argue over biology today. In greats.
No doubt. And the funny thing, just to put a bow on it, is whenever we're around family, like my family, that's extended family, when I take Tasha around, they automatically assume that she's a part of the family instead of me. They're like, so how are we related? And she's like, no, that's my husband that's related to you.
Oh my gosh. That's some wild stuff. Yeah. So it's interesting today. I always get on my kids about this and I tell them, I say, you got to learn technology, right? And I'm waiting, because I just think back to, when I was younger and I was growing up and I was coming up and I just had an affinity for technology, and I just remember learning that skill and learning technology, learning computers at that time. It just gave me such an advantage. Because it literally allowed me to springboard out of high school and land in a W-2 world making, $12, $13 an hour. And then from there, within a year or 2 years, I was making $80,000 as a systems engineer. And I was like, this is wild. And they paid for
that was cert. Good back then.
Yeah,
too.
This is like 2001, money. 2002.
Yeah, that's good money.
And I'm like, this is awesome. So, and they paid for my certifications, which is great. So I tell them, I say, look, for me, it was computers, and I got it in a time where things were really changing around again. You're getting in a time where in AI, I mean, you could really you could explode with this. I mean, imagine where you could be. So my 6-year-old daughter, and by the way, I think we've talked about this before. I don't put limitations. I mean, I have their Apple ID.
Sure.
So their Apple ID, I can monitor and I can see everything that's happening.
But in terms of getting access to their iPads and what they look at and content and stuff like that, or time limits specifically,
Yeah. So for example, she's logged into my YouTube, my personal YouTube, and I have YouTube Premium. And the reason why she knows this is because she caught on because my son, one of them is my third youngest. You had to think about that, Len. He's logged in and they figured it out because they went, wait a minute, Dad's YouTube has no ads, right? So they're like, all right, cool. I like this one. So she's logged in that. So for example, she's logged into that. And I've always been that way with all my kids. I don't do that. And maybe it's just because that's the way my mom and my dad was. They told us about everything and they cautioned us and they said, hey, look, here's what this is. And by the way, if you do it, here's what could happen. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I understand. Like, I guess my parents always gave us the opportunity to accept the consequences or accept the outcomes of decisions. And they did, while they did shelter us, and we grew up in a really nice area, they didn't shelter us to the point where they didn't, hey, look, here it is, and this is the world. So I think that gives advantages to people, I think.
Yeah.
So anyways,
I would agree with that.
I don't know how, I think we've talked about it before, right?
We did a little bit. And I think, we can take a quick pause about parenting, especially since we were talking about Father's Day and just different styles of parenting, because, there's a saying that strict parents raise sneaky kids. And so by giving kids too much access, then they don't have any guardrails. But by limiting all of the access they get, they find ways to get what they want. And so I think it's really about finding that balance between giving them enough leeway to go out and explore and make their own mistakes and course correct after the fact, as opposed to trying to hover over them like a helicopter parent so they can go and take their half tops and their short skirts in the backpack to school, unbeknownst to you. I'd rather know what they're wearing. I'd rather know, have an idea of what they're doing, but give them the freedom to make their own choices. So I'm with you on that one for sure.
We were talking about biology earlier. I just think it plays to biology. I mean, if you make something unaccessible, it makes it more curious. So, and you're dealing with children here. So it's like, I don't know. I've never had soda before. So for my kids, I don't want them to be, I don't want my kids to find out certain things, not from me. I'd rather them learn. I'd rather them learn what those things are from me and my wife and rather than have them sitting down in a room with the friend that they've only known for 6 months or 9 months. And then this friend is introducing them to whatever, right?
Yeah, Of course, there's limitations on that. Like for me, I agree. Like, for example, I want my kids to know that, hey, if you drink excessively, then you're going to have potentially cirrhosis of the liver. If you drink and you drive, then you can get in an accident. And then I showed them like, hey, look at what happened to this person. Look at how these people were killed, but then on the flip side of it, Mom, sorry, but I let my kids taste what wine and what alcohol tasted like. So they would say, oh, this is nasty. And, they're not drinkers like that. So, the point is I wanted to be the one that controlled their exposure to an extent, like on the extreme end. Like, I'm not going to say, hey, snort this cocaine and see how bad it is. I'm not doing that. So I'm not, so let's not get
SoCal man here. Arrested.
Right. Exposing his kids to LSD.
There you go.
I don't go that far, but at the same time, I don't want my kids to learn about sex from Stan, who's the ninth grader at the school, and they're an 8th grader. Like, that's ridiculous. So I want them to learn that from me. So I don't know how you feel about that.
I'm exactly the same way. And my mom was very similar to that. My mom had a lot of conversations about us. What's interesting is because my mom would always ask us when we came home, hey, how you doing? Anybody make you feel uncomfortable? And she would always ask that. And then followed up. The last question was always, did anyone touch you? Has anyone touched you or made you feel uncomfortable? My mom always had these conversations with us. And I think the touching conversation probably was like every 90 days or so, something like that. I mean, I don't know the exact time, but I know that my mom was thorough about asking those questions. And it was very like, how are you feeling?
Right.
Has anybody, she was always interested in how people made you feel or made me feel. And hey, did anybody get in your space? Did anybody do anything? And then, it's not right. It's not right for this so-and-so for not to touch. And if anyone does, and then, watching my wife, bring into the picture, she brings it a step further and says, if anyone says or threatens you or anything, I'll kill your parents or anything. That's a load of, what, and we'll come and we'll like, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, baby.
Your wife's straight G, man.
I'm all for it. But anyways, my daughter, she's 6 years old. We wrote, there's a little whiteboard. I don't know where it comes from because these kids, they're very creative. They make, my kids, they are very creative kids. and there's this little whiteboard. You know what I'm talking about? Where like the special ed whiteboard. You know what I'm talking about?
You know, I used to be an educator, man, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know that because I was in special ed for dyslexia. So you went in the back of the classroom and they used the little whiteboard and they drew on it, right? Almost like
they've modernized it. Like a lot of kids get access to the whiteboard now, just so you know. So
I'm sure they have. I'm sure it's on a tablet now. I'm sure it's not even a little whiteboard.
They do both. They do both. Yeah, they still do both.
I even remember green chalkboards. You remember those? Black chalkboards? Whew, absolutely. Boy, that was disgusting, you know? I mean, gross. But anyways, so we wrote her a little note. My wife wrote her a note. Hey, good morning, Viola. We love you, right? So she wrote us a note back on the whiteboard. But what I discovered is that she's 6. So she took a picture, right, of the note, right? And then she sends it to the chat bot and then says, hey, I want to respond to this. Can you help me respond to this? And she generates a response. So she wrote out, then she watches the chatbot give her the response, and then she reads it and writes out the chatbot's response on the whiteboard and then draws some pictures that the chatbot obviously they didn't do. And I went, how do you know that she's doing that? I watched her and I'm like, you watched her do that? That's pretty freaking cool. And I'm going, that's wild to see that type of that. And look, some people might go, oh my God, that's so crazy. But I'm like, dang, this is a pretty cool experiment right here that you're seeing. Because here's the reality behind it. The more empowered you are and more you understand how these things work, the more you're going to understand how to execute in the world. Just like if you don't know how to use email and apps today, you see generations of people that are being aged out of the system because if you don't have a smartphone today, how difficult is it to do things?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, having a smartphone now, I always think back, like, where was this all of my life when I was in middle school and high school, when I could have had access to the internet? Of course, that wasn't a thing back then, but it's hard to imagine life without it. And imagine with Viola, she's not going to know life without AI. So for her, she's going to be essentially an AI native. And as long as she has your guidance and Mary's guidance, she'll be able to use it effectively as a tool, as opposed to replacing her critical thinking. She'll use it to be able to get more done in less time. So I think there's too many pundits out there that talk about AI and how it's, erasing our intelligence. And while that's true, I think if we learn how to harness the effectiveness of AI and what it's supposed to do for us, not to the detriment of us thinking, as long as we use it the right way, it's a phenomenal tool, especially for people that are Viola's age and younger.
I just think that any of the fear mongering is all the same fear mongering that I've always heard all my life, which is this is going to do this and this is going to do this. And the reality is that, look, the free market in America destroys 20 to 30 million jobs every year. So, I mean, just by natural free market progression, you're going to have jobs destruction. So if you don't learn this stuff and you don't understand the interaction between it, then I think that just puts you at a disadvantage. Because if you don't understand computers or the world of computers and email and all that stuff today and apps, and you're very lost. Like, it is very difficult because the banks push you on it. Like, all essential services are on it. Government services are on it. Like, you try to do anything via mail today, it's an absolute horror show. So
absolutely.
I mean, I think it's an advantage.
That's it, man. That's it, man.
If you like, subscribe, comment. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.